What it's doing a rest machining strategy. We've run the larger diameter 50mm tool, which has done the majority of the roughing. We're bringing in the 16mm now tool now, where it gets in where the 50mm couldn't get in. It's taking smaller cuts, it's doing it closer to the finished net shape. This gives us the opportunity to maybe eliminate semi-finishing operations, get us straight into finishing, helping to reduce costs overall, minimise the cycle time required to produce the components.
With me, the thing about your high feed is the range is vast. So I don't know how many you've got, but it's a lot. You've got different size inserts, different approach angles, and that's not to confuse your customers, is it? There's a lot of science behind that, and the cutting tool selection is key to an optimum process.
Absolutely. We have one of our brochures is a high feed catalogue which details all our high feed tools, and in that it will tell you a little bit of the selection strategy. And of course, if you're not 100% sure, speak to your local Iscar guys, speak to us, and hopefully we can sort of lift some of the mist and get sure you select the right product.
It's amazing to me. There's a lot of people still using buttons, and don't get me wrong, there's still a place for buttons, of course there is, but there's a lot of people still not using high feed correctly or even at all.
Yeah. I think high feed, if you was to take one of our easiest conversions is the buttons, because we go in there, we say this is our current feeds and speeds. We work out metal removal rates, and we say, okay, potentially, if you've got currently 100 cubic centimetres a minute, if I can give you 300 cubic centimetres a minute, what will that do to your business? Free time, profitability, cycle times are going to be slashed, so it's a really effective way, reducing cycle times, increasing profitability at the end of the day.
When these tools were first brought to market quite some time ago now, the first beneficiaries of that were the mould and die industry, so tool steels, your D2s, your Arnox materials. But now that's not the case, is it? Aerospace, medical, other industries too, other materials.
Absolutely, there's even the small inserted tools, Inconels, titaniums, and on the actual long edge titanium machine we're going to run a high feed tool on that. Just as an example, the long edge will create straight walls, but we're going to do a surface on that as well. So high feed is a fantastic way on all materials. It really does work on all materials.
And another myth that you hear, that the machine's being pushed too hard. It's quite the opposite, isn't it? A lot of the forces go back up the spindle, supposed to be in the lateral.
Absolutely. Well, one of the graphics shows your conventional big heavy-duty radial depth of cut. We quite often we bottom it out 150%. We blipping machines. High feed, it rarely seems to get above 30, 40, 50. It's kind of on the machine, it's aggressive cut, and at the end of the day, that's what a high feed tool does. It thins out the chip. We may program it at 1mm per tough feed, but the actual piece of swarf it produces is around about 0.2, which is standard, feed per tooth on a 90-degree approach tool.
Exactly, this is a 50 taper DMG Morrow machine, which is a fabulous machine, but it's fair to say if you've got a 40 taper, maybe even a 30 taper, I don't know, you can still use high feed technology.
Well, that's it. We looked at some of our tools at max depth of cut at 0.8mm. That is what we take to our weaker machines. We've done it before where we've tested high feed at certain customers. They're not happy with it, sounds a little too aggressive. So now we had from the Logic range, we had this new Logic F4, and all of a sudden it's a chance to revisit the customer. Let's try this. Okay, it didn't work before. And it's just given us some really good results.
Yes, so there we have it. It's high feed technology. We're going to be featuring this a lot more in the upcoming Swarf and Chip show. But if you want to learn more about any of the Iscar products, including high feed, speak to this man.
Cheers, Joe.